Well, this segment takes me to the Event Resource Office. What is that, you ask? Well, let's find out from Sarah Russ. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Ron. How are you today?
Good. You're the coordinator for the
Big Bear Valley Event Resource Office. I'm actually its director.
Right. Now then, I had to say Russ. You got married.
I did.
When'd you get married?
2 months ago down in Temecula at a winery. It was a lot of fun.
How neat. And your hubby is a police officer?
He worked for the Redlands Police Department. He's actually a community service officer.
Oh, I see. Very good. And man, I mean, we've called you Sarah Folks since you were a little tiny girl.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. I have to tell you, I keep messing up. So I answer the phone, Sarah Folks still. Russ. So it's
I know
it's fun. It's hard. It's really hard to change one's name, but
I know it. But it's
here.
Cool. So anyway, you're still on your honeymoon.
Kind of. It's been 2 months. Marriage is hard.
I know it. It's hard work.
It is.
I mean, it's the hardest job you'll ever have.
It is. I'm shocked. It's amazing. Just 2 months, but it's fun.
I know. I always say for a long marriage, the real secret is to never get off the honeymoon. You really always do things for one another, and it'll last. Anyway, let's get off of that. What is the Big Bear Valley Event Resource Office? What do you do?
Well, the office was started about 5 years ago through a collaboration between the Chamber of Commerce, the Resort Association, the City of Big Bear Lake, and the county. And the goal of the office was to not only kind of manage the events and kind of work with them to improve them, but also to bring new events to Big Bear, specifically with a focus on the off seasons and midweek to try to enhance the economic activity of Big Bear and help us grow.
I know, and when we get people here, we have events, it's economically great for the valley, for everybody in the valley.
Well, what they're showing now is that when people travel, they want to attend events. And they actually will seek out events to go places. So if we're able to offer some events like Jazz Tracks and the Pirate Fair and Ride the Mountain with Big Bear Choppers and Renaissance Fair, all those things draw people to Big Bear, and they stay in our lodges, our hotels, eat in our restaurants, shop in the village. I mean, it's just ultimately beneficial to Big Bear to have as many events as possible.
I know it. And one of the problems that we have, as Carol Mulvihill says, she heads the Chamber's Economic Development Committee, is that we're sort of a yo-yo economy up here. We're really big in the winter, slow in the spring, comes up in the summer, goes down in the fall, just up and down.
And it's very hard on our economy, and we are a service-driven economy, and because of our tourism, and when it's up in the winter and then down in the spring, and people have to budget, and the goal of the office is to help fill in those off seasons with events to bring more people up here to Big Bear, to make it a little more level, instead of the yo-yo effect that Carol discussed.
That's right, and you've been successful. I think
we had Bonnie Tregaskis, which was my predecessor in the office, helped bring in Jazz Tracks,
right?
Which recently last year moved to June, and then the Pirate Fair was new, and Ride the Mountain moved to June, and we're looking to bring in a car show in May on Mother's Day weekend called Moms and Rods.
Oh, really?
At Northwoods, yes, we're excited about that. He's going through the planning process right now, so. We're slowly moving into those off seasons, and I think working through the chamber with their daffodil project, Daffodil Drive actually, and some other key events. We're trying to bring in maybe working with the Arts Council or all those things. It's important to bring up new events, and we're hoping to also work into the fall season. I know Kathy Sawyer's really working on Big Bear Loves Chocolate and Christmas, which is fun. So it's a process, but I think over time we'll have some really good events in those off seasons that will really help us out.
I know it. And we're a tourist-driven community anyway. We're not going to get away from it.
No.
And we have so many businesses and lodges and everything that relies on the tourist dollar. And a lot of people don't realize that a fresh new dollar spent here rolls over 7 times.
Yes.
I mean, it helps right on down the line.
And I think a lot of businesses need to know that even if an event like Ride the Mountain brings up people and they might not shop necessarily in their business, that money just gets rolled over, and we have hospitals and post offices and the Chamber of Commerce that also is partially funded through the bed tax. I mean, all that stuff gets passed down, and it's important to know just how important events are for Big Bear.
That's for sure.
It's huge.
Now, one thing that's really good, well, the one thing that people need to do is to get acquainted with you and the office.
Yep.
Because you not only seek 60% of your time to bring up new events, but you also like to coordinate the local events. I mean, by giving them dates and any assistance that you might give them in marketing. You don't do it yourself, but you sort of a consultant for them.
Well, the part of the office's job is to bring education and awareness about like sponsorships and marketing, and to try to help them think outside the box on maybe some of those yearly events that need some new ideas. Something we started last year, which we did in May, was our event organizers conference, which was held at Northwoods, and I brought in as many event producers up here as possible, and we just sat down and we talked about sponsorships and marketing and trying to think outside the box on what to change and how to maybe revitalize some of our yearly events. But yes, the goal of the office is to also work with the local events to maybe help them organize themselves so they're not all bunched up on one weekend, to maybe spread them out and look at what's happening that same weekend and maybe what weekend's the best for them. And the best way to do that is through the online calendar, which if you can see it, I don't know if we're on.
Sure, we'll zoom in on it there.
If you can see it, it's at eventsinbigbear.com, and this website you can go on and click, and you can see that there we have a master community calendar, which if you click on the events calendar will take you to a site where it has all of the events happening in Big Bear in more of a calendar format. If you click on the master community calendar, it has it more in a list, so you can just print that out and see everything that's going on. But the biggest thing here for event producers actually is this part right here called List Your Event. And this is the site that people need to go to if they want to get their event, whether it's a local Rotary event or it's a large event like the Golden Ball at the hospital. I mean, all the events need to be on here, and it's really important to have the most accurate information. So they need to go to the site and click on List Your Event, and if I can click on it right now, and this is what will come up. It's very simple. All they have to do is fill in their events information, and it gets emailed to me immediately, and I try to put it on there as fast as I get them. This is also important if, say, you have listed your event, but something changes, say the date or the time or even who the community contact is. You just go right back here and fill the information out and list exactly what's changed, and then I change it on the calendar. And again, the website is eventsinbigbear.com. And you go on List Your Event, and this is where you can list any event that's happening in Big Bear that you're interested to see online. Again, the site is linked with bigbear.com, and they have thousands and thousands of hits a day for the site, so it is the premier event site in Big Bear. I know Ron checks it himself.
I check it every day, of all things. And I find some errors, not a lot, that are not your fault. Because
it's really hard because people, they change things and then they don't tell us, and unfortunately that actually is hurtful to the event because misinformation is getting out there, and we want to be as accurate as possible, and we want to promote your event, and this is the best way to do it when you're online. So, and
a lot of the events that you put on, that maybe they forget to put on, but you go back last year and then you put it on, and a lot of times the information is wrong, not your fault, but now you're starting something new on those.
Well, what we're doing now is for any event that happened last year, we're just automatically putting it on the same date as the year prior, but saying this is last year's information. We don't have any updated information for this year. which means that people need to call. Hopefully they call me, and then we try to get the information updated. Or if the information is tentative, a lot of the ski area events change, so we've added the word tentative to the online calendar too, just to make sure that people call before heading out to an event and oh my gosh, it's not happening. So
I know it.
So we want people to call and update their information as much as possible.
And it's important too, if they're starting an event or having an event, check the website and see what events are on that particular date that you want. Because sometimes they pile up. One Saturday there were 9 events. There was nothing the weekend afterwards, but all 9 were piled up on one Saturday. So, I mean, they need to spread out a little bit.
Well, you bring up a good point. An example of that would be the city did their concert series at Veterans Park this year, which I think was amazing. But
yes.
The Old Miners Association also the same weekend had their Picnic in the Park event, and there was something else going on the same weekend that we had no idea about because no one had contacted me. So the best thing to do is go online, check the calendar, or they can call me. My number is 909-866-2638, and I can go online for them and check the calendar or maybe discuss some really good times and locations for them to do their event.
Sure. You also have an event resource guide
We do.
that you publish, which is good.
We published this last year, and pretty much what it includes is any kind of information people would need to know about doing an event for the first time. It includes like the basics of going after maybe a corporate sponsor, or key ways to do your marketing and writing press releases to get publicity out there, as well as maybe surveying your event to find out how the people enjoyed it, who's coming, your demographics. It's a really good piece of information, and I highly recommend it for any event producer that's interested in doing events in Big Bear.
And anybody can pick a copy up here?
It's completely free, and they can just come by and pick one up, and it's theirs for how they can use it the best they want.
Man. They need it because so many people are not used to planning events.
Well, it's hard. I mean, you may be with an organization, say Rotary or Kiwanis, and you've never done an event, and you stepped up this year to do a local event, and you might just need this information. It's helpful. I can answer any questions they have, and it's free. What more can you ask for?
I know it. We've just got to get the word out to people that we do have an events resource office here. I mean, and we got a qualified person coordinating it, our executive director of it.
I hope so.
I mean, it's the hardest thing. But 10 years from now, there's going to people say, "Oh, I didn't know we had an event resource office." I don't know what cave they were living in, but anyway, this is why I'm really pleased that you're giving me time to get this information out and what your office offers.
I really appreciate it, Ron. It's so important to get the information out there, and it's great to be able to do this with you.
I know the chamber, the city, and the county, all three. Oh, the RA,
Canada Resort Association.
4,
Yeah.
all put in. You don't have a huge budget, but you do have a good budget to work with.
Oh, it enables me to stay current in the professional field of events. I get to attend conferences and collect information as much as possible, as well as maintain the website and
Sure.
talk with all local event producers. I know the Cowboy Gatherings are trying to do a new event in 2008, so it's going to be fun.
Oh, really? Now, also, Carol Mulvihill said on the early show this morning that Liz Harris said they're moving the Cowboy Gathering and Music Festival
To September.
from the old being part of the Old Miners to having its own in September.
They decided that they just got sick of being rained out because, July, then we've got some